Hi everyone, welcome to this week's Halton Hills Housing Update. So to start, we are going to look at the unofficial numbers for November versus 2019. We've been talking about how the higher ticket price points are definitely very busy, and that was reflected in our increase in terms of our average price. So let's take a look. In 2019, our average price was $765,000. This year, and it's been pretty consistent over the last 4 months, it was $949,000. So we're hovering around that $950 average price point in all of Halton Hills. That is up almost 24% year over year, which is really no surprise. We saw so much movement in our million plus price point, so that is for sure going to be driving the numbers higher. The interesting number is that our units are actually down. So in November of 2019, we sold 77 units, and in November of 2020, we sold 75. I do think a few more sales are going to trickle in, so that will probably be pretty even. But overall, that's kind of a surprise. I mean, we were seeing a huge variance and we were seeing units well in the 100 plus. And so to see only 75 units is kind of interesting. The real story is our average price because it has jumped so significantly since 2019. So looking at last week's sales, I'm kind of eating my words here, but we had 21 properties sell. So I thought we were kind of seeing a slowdown and a shift, but last week was a big week at 21 sales. That's a lot for Georgetown. Another interesting thing is I thought the million plus price point had a slow week and maybe we were seeing a bit of a shift, but psych. We had 9 of those 21 sell over $1 million. And I've heard some agents that had listings, like we're talking 5-6 offers like in a day on some of the properties. So it's still an extremely busy price point. The bigger concern is that we only had 12 new listings. So 21 sales and 12 new listings. That is not doing our inventory levels any favors at this point. In Acton, we had no property sell, which is probably one of the first weeks we've seen that, but there's just like nothing to choose from there. There's nothing to buy, so I'm not really surprised to see no sales. There was 1 new listing, so hopefully we can see Acton get some sales next week. In Glen Williams and Limehouse, there was no sales and no new listings. And in the rural market, we were like almost 4 weeks with no properties selling there. We did have 2 properties sell, so good news for rural sellers. And there is no new inventory that entered the market there. Now let's talk about active inventory. I think our lowest number this year has been 88 is what we got down to. Well, we are down to 84 active listings and 15 are sold conditional. So 69 available properties in all of Halton Hills. That number is shocking to me. You don't think it can get this low, but like we're here and I don't think the inventory is gonna get any better. In Georgetown, we have 44 active listings, which is a low number for Georgetown, no surprise. When we're looking at our price points, under 700,000 has 6 active listings, a few of those being condos or condo townhomes, so really not a lot available under 700,000. 7 to 800,000 has 7 active listings. It's technically down, but 7 listings in that price point is still a good number. We've seen it as low as 2. 800 to $1 million is sitting steady at 13 active listings. So the million plus price point, I talked about earlier how we had a lot of sales last week in that price point, and our inventory is down to 18 active listings above $1 million. And maybe that sounds like a lot, but that is a very low number for that price point. I've been talking for months now how busy our million plus price point is, and to see the numbers at 18 is kind of scary. Acton is up slightly to 9 active listings. Glen Williams is the same at 5, Limehouse at 3, and the rural market is down to 23 active listings. So with the rural market, there is only 1 property available under $1 million. So I've talked about this, but with our town inventory, especially the million plus, getting very scarce in terms of available inventory, I'm going to be watching closely to see if we see a spike in the rural market, because most of the properties available in the rural market are catering to those million plus buyers. And so if there's not a lot available in town, people tend to expand their searches to the rural market. So I'm gonna be watching those numbers closely because rural had a rough November. So let's see if it can pick up in December. So overall, no surprise with how November turned out. Our average price is just skyrocketing due to the demand over $1 million here. It's just pulling everything up. So I do anticipate December is going to continue on this trend of our price points being super high. The bigger problem right now is our inventory. Those random listings just stop coming up in December. And so I think given that buyer demand is still proving to be insanely high, I think the fact that we are not going to see listings coming up is going to drive prices up, and I think it's going to drive inventory down. So I am really interested to see what happens this first week of December, because usually sellers just kind of like curl up and don't do anything until the new year. So come back, let's see if inventory can somehow get lower than it already is. And I'll be back on Tuesday to report what happens this first week of December. Have a great week, everyone.